So we're looking at the question again, who am I? And is it because we don't know who we are that we suffer? Is that why we suffer? If we knew who we were, would we still suffer? What actually causes suffering? When I look to myself, and I've realised one thing, that the only thing that causes me suffering is my thinking, is the way that I think that I am the thinker. So when I think something, I believe it and take it to be so. But what's happened now is that I've kind of realised that if I'm feeling negative, if I'm feeling depressed, if I'm feeling not good enough, I will have thoughts that arise which are compatible with that way of being, and I'll take them as real. So when I'm feeling down, I'll think, my thoughts will go, oh, I'm no good, life's no good, something wrong with me. Then I will take that as truth, and then later I'll be remembering, oh yeah, I realise that there's something wrong with me. And then I'll stop being that way about myself. And after a certain level of intensity of being that way about myself, I will actually turn up as if there's something wrong to me in drama, proving that beingness and the thoughts that sprung out of it right. But actually there is nothing wrong with me if I identify with who I truly am. What does it mean, who I truly am? It's who I've always been. Who I truly am doesn't change. Who I think I am is constantly changing. Who the past says that I am, that is always changing. If I remember the past in a positive frame of mind, I tend to remember it in a positive way. If I remember the past feeling depressed, I tend to remember it in a depressive way. But how actually was it? And how accurate are my memories of it? Not very. And the further into the past I try and remember, the less reliable my memories are. So, who am I and who have I always been? Who have I always been? In every single moment, what aspect of me is always there? In some moments, my funny, happy, positive persona aspect will be present, and in some moments my not so funny aspect will be present. My personality is always changing in every moment. But what part of me is present the same in every moment? What is common to every moment? No matter what the circumstance is, what is the common factor to every moment? What is always there? Can you reify it? Can you describe it? Is it a thing? It's not really a thing, is it? It's not really describable in the same way as you couldn't really describe the sky. But everything depends on the existence of the sky, because if the sky wasn't there, where would everything be? It would be nowhere, because there wouldn't be anywhere for it to be. So, in the journey of who am I, maybe I isn't quite so relevant as I thought. This I normally signifies Tim or Timian, doesn't it? It separates me from others. I am me and you are you, and we're not the same. Even if we put that I down for a minute and just look at what am is, What is amness? What is amness? The quality of am. What does it mean? What is being? In what domain does being take place? In what domain do thoughts pass? In what domain does drama happen? What is amness? Is everything made of the same substance? Essentially. When you have a sleep dream and you wake up, and you might have been dreaming of mountains and cars and people and space, but when you wake up you realize that all those things were actually made of the same substance. They appeared to be, the mountain appeared to be hard and solid, the space appeared to be spacious and vacuous, but in fact they were all filled and made with the same substance, the substance of dream. Is that not the same here? When we get down to an essential level, is not everything made of the same thing? So, I am, the I we've seen, and the am. The am is just being, beingness, awareness, existence. Is that different from consciousness? Yes. Because you don't need an I for there to be an am, but you do need am for there to be an I. Don't you? So imagine, the way I realised this was I was sitting by the Ganges one time, and I was just gazing into it as it flowed past. Beautiful green, golden, sparkling river, flowing in such a majestic and wonderful way. And then, just as I was looking, a beautiful spiral, a swirl just came past. I saw it bounce off and come into creation off a rock, and I witnessed it pass me for about 10 seconds. Magnificent, unique, a one-time thing, before it dissolved into the great Ganga. We could say that the I that precedes the am is the swirl. First there was just the amness of the Ganga, and then the swirl was the I, and for a moment there was a sense of the swirl wasn't separate from the Ganga, but it was particularized. It had its unique identity. There wasn't a place where that swirl really ended. There was no boundary between the individual event of the swirl, of the I, and the great amness that it was in, which is the same as us. There's no boundary. There's an I here, but it emanates out and it doesn't actually end. There's no edge to me in consciousness. Just pure, that consciousness just merges into the field of consciousness. We can put down the sense I. What happens when we do? We can put down our persona and just put it aside. This is actually something we can do. The thing that causes us all the problem, our psychological self, we can just put it down for a moment. We can put the sense I down for a moment. We can put the chatterer down for a moment. We can do this. What is actually left there? What can't you put down? What is that? Everything happens in it. Everything is pervaded by it. It really is all there actually is. All form arises in it and is made of it. All that appears to be is actually it. So who am I? Who do my senses report to? What is actually going on? What happens if I completely let go of all that can be let go of? Is that a scary place, or is it ultimate safety? We can let go of everything and arrive back in this beautiful, beautiful, still, peaceful. It's not so much a peaceful place as we arrive back as peace. We arrive back as limitless freedom. We arrive back as a kind of self-cognizing presence. Our whole lives we've been supporting the idea of ourselves with thinking, and that has jammed us on a frequency of existence, which is not a great frequency to be on. When we're in our minds, when we're identifying as our minds, when we're identifying as the thinker, it doesn't matter where we are, there's no possibility of joy. There's no possibility of happiness when you're identifying as your mind. There's no possibility of love. People who spend their whole time, their whole lives even, in their mind, identifying as the thinker, that's not a happy place. That's really missing out on what's on offer. The possibility of happiness. The possibility of peace. Peace of mind. Peace from chatter. It's so crucial that we must learn to get comfortable with what is beyond the thoughts. We can't control the mind. However, waking up, becoming conscious. Waking up means allowing your consciousness to blossom beyond the level of thought. If we let that happen, if we choose that and let that happen, then our relationship with our thinking does change. And the mind becomes quieter. Is there anybody who doubts that meditation is good? Really? I know you can look on the internet and there's always somebody's got the idea you're looking for. Oh yeah, meditation is really wrong. There was a woman in 1862 who died from, when she was meditating, something like this. But I mean, no, everybody knows. There are some things that everybody knows. Everybody knows that they're loving. Everybody knows that they're lovable. Everybody knows meditation's good. Everybody knows that peace is important. What are you doing without those things? What's the point without those things? The purpose of life, is it to do something particular? Is the purpose of life a doing? My purpose is to do this, to go here, do this, create that. Is that what the purpose is? What really is the purpose of us being here in these bodies? It's to understand and feel something. to return. A baby's born, and you see a newborn baby in a kind of incredible bliss. And then as they grow older, their sense of I starts to develop. And that comes along with thinking. 2 years old, they start to be thinking. And they come away from that bliss and they come into the realm of thinking. And then pretty soon, 8, 9, 10, they're getting merged in it. And then teenage years, and then later on it becomes like something's not right. I've got a sneaking suspicion there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with my life. I do readings for people, hundreds and hundreds of people, and I haven't yet met someone who didn't think there was something wrong with them. And yet I know there's nothing wrong with them. All that's wrong is that we're not who we are. We're identifying as something that isn't who we are. And by identifying with it, a life of misery comes. Because there's no joy in the mind. That isn't where joy is. Joy is in presence. Joy is only in this now. Peace is only in this now. And the mind, the thinker, thrives and feeds off the illusion of past and future. It doesn't know of now. But we know of now. We have asked our mind, who am I? And the answer it gave is the psychological self, which in pretty much every case is screwed up. Phobia this, phobia that. No, I don't like spiders. Why not? Oh, I don't like the dark. Why not? Oh, I've got this relationship with food. Why? Oh, my past, I'm wounded. Really? Life in the psychological self is full of nonsenses, complexes, fears, unresolved stuff that will never get resolved. That's not who we are. Thankfully, wonderfully, that's not who we are. And who we truly are, who we are in every single moment, whether we're in deep dreamless sleep, or whether we're dreaming, or whether we're awake, or whether we're fully awake, in every single moment, this is who we truly are. This unchanging awareness, this unreifiable, this unobjectifiable, extraordinary wonder. And life calls us and says, just put everything else down for a minute, and you will see. Do not believe what I'm saying. Do not believe what you read in the book. Do not believe what the masters say. Experience, because you are it now. And it comes as insights. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And gradually we simplify. Wonderfully simplify. We don't need to be bringing all that stuff with us. All my opinions, my terribly important opinions. Is that who I am? The opinions I hold? No. I am what I do. Is that who I am? No. I am how people get me. Is that who I am? No. I am the thinker of my thoughts. No. What's left? The humblest, quietest, most wonderful aspect is left. So we need to turn our consciousness, which is going into our thoughts, which is going into our senses, which is going into the world. We need for a moment to bring our consciousness and lift it up into the awareness, which is like looking at the sky. Look at the sky, but don't focus on the clouds. Look at the sky, but don't focus on the blue. Look at the sky, but don't focus on the darkness. Look at the sky, but don't focus on the stars. All of that stuff's in the sky. Look into your mind, but don't look at the thoughts. What's there? What is it all happening in? So we lift our consciousness up to the level of awareness. And there, or lift our consciousness up to the level of existence itself. And there is happiness. A happiness that has no cause. A wonderful feeling that has no cause at all. It is just how life is when we take all our glasses off. A field of self-cognizing happiness, and joy, and love. The process of death itself happens in that awareness. If you identify as your body, when death comes, it'll be a shocking time. If you think I am my body. Equally, if you think I am my mental body, my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings, that's who I am. Similarly, at the time of death, when you have to disengage from them, that will also be a shock. Who do you have to be while you're alive here in order for death not to be a shock? You have to be the one thing that pervades every single aspect of all life. And that's really why we're here, to return to that self, the self. When we return to the self, it's as if the universe asked us, what would you just love? What would be the cherry on your cake? And it just bubbles up. Oh, I'd really love this. And because it's done with love, and we know it's not going to make any difference, because we're already complete, we are that completeness, then whatever it is we love just takes shape. And gratitude starts to burn in our hearts. Burn away the dross. And we become free. Freedom itself. This is who we turn out to be.